The capitalist warrior digs his grave with a voice that could make demons quiver. He's the prognosticator, the truth giver, blasting through the speakers with deadly precision. His words cut deep, causing global division. CIA levels of assessment, he's got them all, unmasking the lies, watching empires fall. Ruthless and relentless, he takes a stand, bringing the hammer down on the corruption of the land. No politician, nobody is safe from his wrath. He's the business badass here on the warpath. Ghost, predicting the future. Ghost, sparking synapses. Ghost, the badass of business. Yeah, now get ready. True Capitalist Radio starts right now. Now. Fucking bucks.
Hell yeah! What's going on, folks? And thank you for tuning in with me to another edition of the True Capitalist Radio broadcast. And of course, I am your host, the man they call Ghost, baby. Thank you very much for tuning in with me. Once again, folks, it is Wednesday. It is June 5th, 2024, and I want to say cheers to everybody out there who is listening to the broadcast, all right? Anyway, this is episode number 697 of the True Capitalist Radio broadcast, and before we get into anything else, I'd like to ask everybody to please spread this show across the internets and throughout the world, and let everybody let them all know that the True Capitalist Radio is in effect and in the house. And I once again want to say cheers to everybody out there who is listening to the broadcast, all right? And also, if you haven't done so, please add to your bookmarks and add to your favorites my official website, all right? The official website is ghost.report, all right? Just type that in your browser, ghost.report. And I'd also like to forward everybody. Let me go ahead and switch sides here. Let me go from here to here. I'd also like to encourage everybody to please follow me on X or Twitter, all right? And look at this, Vox Artificial already donating and, causing a ruckus here. But hold on just a second. Follow me on X or Twitter, whatever you want to refer to it as. There it is right there, The Ghost Report, all one word, no underscores, The Ghost Report. And also, we are live there, all right? We are live there, so if you happen to want to catch it there or on YouTube or on Rumble, or on D-Live, you've got all those options available, all right? So cheers to everybody out there who is listening to the broadcast, however you're listening to it. But anyway, before we get into anything else, I do want to put a point of emphasis that yours truly's voice is still a little flustered from the Monday night ghost show, which is a little bit different, or a lot different from this broadcast, a little bit of tomfoolery. And so if you're wondering, why Ghost sounds a little different is because of that, all right? So with that being said, let's go ahead and get to these weird-ass, euphoric, don't know whether they're coming or going markets out here, all right? Put the PC shot on. The Dow right now, it is closed on the upside, 0.25% increase on the day. The Dow Jones closed out at 38,807.33 points for the Dow Jones Industrial. We've got an S&P 500 up 1.18% on the day. So, everybody was in a buying mood for some reason, or either that or everybody's abandoning ship on these stupid meme stocks and putting it back in their positions. Either way, the S&P closes out at 5,354.03 points for the S&P 500. And we've also got the NASDAQ, which is, I guess, on a euphoric rise because of the NVIDIA stock, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. It is up almost 2% on the day. NASDAQ closing out at 17,187.90 points for the NASDAQ composite. And did anybody see gold today? I mean, this makes absolutely no sense. That's why I'm saying these markets are in absolute euphoria. Typically, at least in the conventional institutional days of Wall Street, whenever you saw an increase in equities, you typically saw a decrease in gold, and vice versa. Typically, when you saw an increase in gold, you see a decrease in equities because gold is an indicator on whether or not commodities traders are somewhat confident about the economy. And when you got a lower gold price, typically that means not only is the economy going very well, but the monetary system of that fiat paired with gold is valuable with a low gold price. But look, I mean, we've got a monetary tightening policy, one of the most extensive we've seen in some time, and this gold price should be on the low end. And on the contrary, because of all the uncertainty that you're seeing here, you've got a lot of commodities traders going into gold at this point, and that's a very interesting situation, a very interesting anomaly that we're looking at here. So watch that price, because as I've stated, the Fed is considering lowering rates at some point. As I stated back when they began this whole monetary tightening process in March of 2022, I alluded to the fact that at the very soonest that they would cut rates would be at the end of the year of 2024, and that is still on the trajectory. But at this point in time, the possibility of it being at the beginning of 2025 is starting to look that much more likely. It just depends on the data. But as I stated, once the Fed lowers rates, that means they've gone too far, and they're trying to lower rates to bring back liquidity to the markets. And that's when we'll see all the effects of the monetary tightening policy, the contraction in equities, the lowering in prices, and all that. So once again, remember, when they lower rates, it is not going to be a good time for everybody that is in the investment community. All right, with that being said, aside from gold, take a look at oil. Oil right now, it is at up 1.39%. As a matter of fact, it has been sliding this whole week because of a lack of demand. But obviously, they heard the OPEC news. OPEC deciding it's going to cut production to try to increase value on this damn oil price. And as you can see, oil is up 1.39%, closing out oil at $74.27 per barrel of WTI sweet crude oil. And we got Bob Filshin, who hooked it up with a Rumble rant. He said, how do you feel about SQQ? I put in a couple of thousand a couple of days ago. I like it because it's crazy high consumer and very high government debt. I want to benefit from the crash. Cheers. Look, I'll be honest with you right now. You got to find a bottom point for SQQ. For all those that don't know what SQQQ is, it is an inverse that goes 3x on the NASDAQ. So whenever the NASDAQ goes lower, the SQQQ goes higher. And because we have this euphoria going towards tech at this point, all right, before I'll get to you in a minute there, Kits. We've got this euphoria going towards tech, and it's fueled by AI, and it's fueled by NVIDIA, and I'm not too sure how long that's going to last. You've got a lot of enthusiasm in the market going that direction, and that's really what's prevented the NASDAQ from truly correcting. So as long as people are still hyped up about AI and this NVIDIA stock, which I think is ridiculous priced right now, I'll be honest with you. But until we stop seeing enthusiasm and euphoria in that sector, I think that the NASDAQ continues to go higher. How high it goes, I have no idea. And I hope that answers your question there, Bob Filshin. And we got Vox Artificial who said, go Oilers. And he's talking about the Edmonton Oilers from the NHL. And we got Cat Cans with a $5 Rumble rant. Biden is trying to pull the ladder up and destroy the nation since all failed, and Trump is guaranteed to return. The illegal invaders, the economy, the bird flu. I trade with TQQ and SQQ every day. I'm not too sure. I think that's a little bit overconfident that Trump is going to win the election. I'm not seeing that, if you want my personal opinion. And I'm on the ground out here in Texas, and there's not a lot of enthusiasm outside of the fringe movements when it comes to Trump at this point. But I'm going to talk about that here in a second. Cheers to you, Cat Cans, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. We got the official shekel counter. When will NVIDIA crash? Yes, it will. And I believe that we're going to start seeing a pullback once this split, what is it, 11-for-1 stock split or some shit like that? When that split happens, if you're holding NVIDIA, I would entertain an exit position at that point, because this looks exactly like what happened to Cisco Systems in the early 2000s. Same chart trajectory and everything. So anyway, what's this? Feminist Socialist said GameStop up 19.13% for the day. It is now at 31.57 to the moon. Now, with that being said, I'm glad that you did that Rumble rant, Feminist Socialist, because I want to talk about GameStop and then this piece of trash right here, Roaring Kitty, and all those financial terrorists over there at the goddamn Wall Street Bets Reddit. Now, I want to tell you, I know you young people think that, you feel funny in the pants because you people are investing into a dying company, and you think that, I don't know, maybe some of you are profiting. Most of you are going to be holding the bag on this thing, while Roaring Kitty and all the culprits of this pump and dump are going to be raking it into the bank. And the reason why this is so dangerous is because, I don't know if y'all saw at the beginning of this week, we actually had, quote, glitches in the market. Glitches in the market. And the reason we had these glitches, shut up, Vox, you don't know your ass from your elbow. The reason that we had these glitches in the market, folks, was because this stupid meme stock crap. And I actually wrote an article about it on Twitter, believe it or not. Put the PC shot on. Here it is right here. Roaring Kitty and Wall Street Bets should be sent to prison. And I'm just going to basically surmise this for you. But hold on. We got Valentine Broadcasting with a $5 Rumble rant. How high do you think gold and silver will go when they lower the rate? I just know it's going to go higher, Valentine. I don't know how high it's going to go. I mean, this is such a very obsessive, very over-compulsive market that, when people tend to buy, they tend to overbuy. So, in my personal view, I really don't know. But whatever the fucking rate is now when it comes to the price of gold and silver, once they cut rates, it's going to go even higher. So that's why everybody's getting in on it now. So I can't really tell you, but it's for sure going to go higher than the current price right now.
I'd buy that.
And we got
for
Cypher.
$1.
What's up, Cypher? What's going on, man? And I'll get to you in just a second. I just want to make this brief diatribe about Roaring Kitty and Wall Street Bets. Now, in this article, I talk about how we got here, and what this all is. And let me just read this real important 2 paragraphs here, because I don't think people understand this whole scenario with Wall Street Bets. Okay, how did we get here? Roaring Kitty and the Wall Street Bets community encourage their followers to buy and hold GameStop and AMC stocks, which are and then dying companies, creating a demand far exceeding the supply. This resulted in significant increases in the stock price back in 2021. And as the stock price rose, short sellers, or investors who bet the stock price will fall, were forced to buy back the stocks they had borrowed to cover their positions, further driving up the price in a phenomena called short squeeze. Okay? The use of social media platforms to disseminate information and coordinate actions is a key factor in this market manipulation scheme. The community's ability to influence stock prices through their online presence and coordinated actions was an unprecedented and illegal act. The actions of Roaring Kitty and Wall Street Bets community have had a profound effect on the market. The surge in stock prices led to significant losses for not only just the hedge funds who had shorted these stocks, it also wiped out all the folks that were at the bottom of the pyramid of this Wall Street Bets induced pump and dump. All while the culprits of this scheme literally stole the money from the donks they manipulated. Now, fast forward. Roaring Kitty went into hiding for a couple of years after the previously mentioned events, and recently came out of his hole and began posting on Twitter/X. This led to his Wall Street Bets goons using their Reddit platform to begin pumping these dying companies once again. Unlike in 2021, when the Fed was printing out money like it was going out of style, the economy is under the Fed's monetary tightening policy, which has made liquidity scarce. The result is investors are selling long positions at market value to move those funds into Roaring Kitty's manipulated GameStop and AMC stocks in hopes of getting some quick, dumb money. The consequence, selling low public float companies with little and or no limit orders on the order book is how the so-called, quote, glitch that sent Berkshire Hathaway and other stocks dipping by 90+%. So, in other words, Roaring Kitty and Wall Street Bets are inspiring unrealistic market expectations on a grand scale that is now affecting more than just, quote, hedgies. This nonsensical scam is putting everyone's market investments at risk. This includes regular people's 401ks, retirements, funds, etc. And where's all the money going? Roaring Kitty and Wall Street Bets' pocket, right as the American economy is on the brink of recession and or depression. So all these, quote, glitches that happened Monday and Tuesday weren't glitches. We have a very low liquidity market. There's not that much fiat currency circulating in the market at this point in time. And if anybody wants to participate in this pump and dump with Wall Street Bets and Roaring Kitty, they're going to have to liquidate positions at market value in order to move those funds into GME or AMC in order for them to profit. And as a result, what do you have? You have people selling at market value, and there's nobody with any out limit orders that are selling. So you look at the order book, there's no limit orders to sell. So that's why the damn thing drops. You understand? And what's causing this is nonsensical investing concepts like meme stocks. So I'll tell you this right now, this is not good for the market, and I don't think anybody who is partaking in this, it's not going to end well for you. All right? Anyway, official shekel counter, if they don't get arrested and you start pumping and dumping, will you let us in on the pump and dump? I'm not going to chance it, dude, all right? I'm not going to chance it. I'm not pumping and dumping anything, all right? Let me go ahead and take some of these donos that came in on Buy Me a Coffee, and let me acknowledge some of these. Put the PC shot on, all right? We've got, let's see, let's go back to here. Vox Artificials, recruiting for the hashtag Tard Right has been doing great. 55 likes, 17 retweets so far. If you haven't already, join us. And don't forget to do your part by typing T in chat to show your support for the hashtag Tard Right. Dude, don't start memeing some dumb shit called the Tard Right. All right? Don't start doing that. Anyway, Kit, serious talk. I'm assuming you're most likely going to talk about that stupid femzoid, Claudia Scheinbaum, and how she's basically a taco eater, Angela Merkel, on today's show. Actually, I was going to leave that to the end if I have any more time, but I think everybody who understands or who's observing the Mexican political system knows that this Claudia Scheinbaum is probably not good news for Mexico. And if you take a look at Mexico's ETF, it went down by like 40 or 50%. So, it's not looking good for Mexico. Do you expect her to fuck up so badly? More people will want to leave the country? I don't know. I mean, I actually have some folks from Mexico that are in the inner circle and in other chat rooms, and we've had discussions about this. We had a discussion about this the other night in the True Capitalist Radio chat room. And we had like 3 or 4 people from Mexico, and they have mixed views on it. One of them suggests that this Claudia Scheinbaum could be just a continuation of the economic policies of AMLO, which is the former president that just got unelected, or actually it was term limits for AMLO. And AMLO is supposedly a socialist. But if you take a look at the economic policies that AMLO had put forth, I mean, remember, he signed a renegotiated NAFTA deal with Trump that has generously benefited the Mexican economy. Mexico right now is in the midst of a middle-class population boom. And if you want my opinion, I mean, they're doing pretty good right now. So this woman would have to do some really stupid shit, in my opinion, for her to fuck up what's going on in Mexico. She'd have to do some very dumb shit. But hey, don't put it past her. Don't put it past her. And we got a real female hooking up with a Rumble rant. Type train if you support the tanky right. Tard right and Tanky right. Also, I wanted to bring my attention to the Ghost Show. As I stated prior, I couldn't tune into Saturday's show, but can I get the Thunderdome invite? Yeah, we'll get you to Thunderdome, all right? Cheers, kits. And we got Cypher. Good to see TCR. Do you think ENVB will go way up? And if so, how long do you think it will take? That right there is one of my long-term investments, okay? I bought it at around $1. It's under $1 right now. And the reason is because bio stocks right now are not really in favor with the investment community right now. I mean, believe it or not, I had told some folks in the inner circle about a month ago before the earnings came out for Pfizer that they needed to take a look at Pfizer because Pfizer was at like a goddamn 20-year low or some shit like that. It was like $25, $24 a share, and it pays like a buck and change or some shit a share in quarterly dividends. I said, hey, entertain that stock. And once the earnings came out, better than expected, and they're starting to move up accordingly. Right now, everything is in tech, all right? Any other sector is, with the exception of the oil sector, tech and oil right now are just, they're in euphoric investment territory. I mean, take a look at goddamn NVIDIA. NVIDIA's almost 200 times its earnings. That's the price it's trading at. 200 times its earnings. I mean, at some point, something's got to give. And in my opinion, I'm taking long positions in sectors of the market that have been oversold and don't have very much activity right now, one of which is the biotech sector. Now, with ENVB, let me explain. I do own this stock. I just want to let everybody know I do own this stock. I'm in long on this stock. And the reason is because aside from ENVB having a plethora of different pharmaceuticals on its catalog that it's licensed out for millions, which is going to reflect on its earnings here in the next couple of quarters, they are also investing in something that is alternative mental health. Now, there was a strike down today by the FDA for, what is it, MDMA, which is Molly or ecstasy. They struck that down because I never thought ecstasy or Molly was ever going to be used for any legitimate mental therapy at all. But I do believe that the things that are in psychedelics, like mushrooms and peyote and that sort of thing, I think that there's something to that. And ENVB right now has two different compounds in which they have created. That is proprietary and synthetic, in which they take out the hallucinogenic components of psychedelic drugs and just leave the after components. Now, I'm not encouraging anybody to take psychedelics whatsoever, but whenever anybody takes a psychedelic, they always report after the psychological hallucinations, they feel like a sense of I wouldn't say euphoria, but everybody has a good feeling, like an accomplished feeling after the hallucinogenic episode. You know, they feel good about life. You know, they feel spiritually regenerated, and they feel good about taking on the day. That right there is what ENVB is trying to not only create, but create as a mental health treatment that has no side effects. The only side effect that it could have is light hallucinogenic side effects like light sensitivity and that sort of thing. And I think this is right now, in my opinion, when it comes to mental health, and I know I really don't have very good views on mental health, but you take a look at all the problems that SSRI has given to people. I mean, SSRIs, ever since they've been introduced to the market, I think they've caused more mental health problems. And they've caused more physical problems from the side effects. So in my opinion, I think this is one of those ground level type investments. And I've heard the CEO of ENVB, that is Enveric Biosciences, suggest that he anticipates that he's going to be bought out, Enveric Biosciences being bought out by 2025. Because according to him, he has had bigwigs, you know, the Pfizers, the Eli Lillys, and these people approach him and say that if they can do a successful phase 2 trial, which right now they're in phase 2, if they can do a phase 2 trial and show that there is no or very limited hallucinogenic side effects with their compound, they're going to buy them up. And if they're going to buy up ENVB, they're going to have to buy them up at somewhere around $20. So if you can get in on a long-term hold on this at under $1, and you hold it up until 2025, and they're successful in their phase 2, and they get bought out, and they get bought out for $20-something. I mean, that's a decent return. That's how the biosector works anyway. The biosector works if you have some drug in the pipeline going through all these phase trials, and at each phase accomplishment, it goes up in price. And then once it finally is released into the marketplace, that's when these biostocks take off. And sometimes before they're even released into the actual consumer, they're bought out by the bigwigs. So this is how you play the bioscience sphere. Right now, in my opinion, bioscience is very cheap. Bioscience is unbelievably cheap, and do your research into biosciences, but I think everything right now is at a very, very low price. And I think that we may be coming to another medical episode. I was going to talk about bird flu here in a minute. But once we start going into some kind of other mass virus supposedly floating around and terrifying everybody, that's when the bioscience sector is going to start lighting up with investment. And that's why I'm holding right now. I'm real big right now, not just in ENVB, which is medical what do you call it? Psychedelic drugs for mental health. I'm also heavily invested in RNA, mRNA. I'm also heavily invested in cancers. I'm talking bioscience companies. Heavily invested in cancers. Heavily invested in this sector. So I'm holding a lot of stocks that I bought for around $1, under $1. I'm about 50,000 large in this particular sector, and I'm expecting once this sector starts getting investment back, and everybody starts finally realizing that tech is, overbought, I expect to at least yield 100% return within the next year or so. Within the next year, 100% return minimum. Anyway, I just wanted to let y'all know why I was doing what I was doing. I'm not telling anybody to buy that stock. I'm just suggesting that's why I'm doing it. And that's why I entertain that position. And it's a very inexpensive position, if you want my opinion. We've got JSEV. Fuck it. Serious post. Shrooms greatly boost my mental health. It's absolutely takes the edge off of life, and it's completely natural. Look at JSEV, a guy who usually trolls me, is understanding that the possibility of psychedelic drugs, taking out the hallucinogenic component, of course, and just leaving that high-spirited after effect, I think is something that will lead in mental health, because if ENVB, Enveric Biosciences, if they can prove that they not only have taken out the psychological hallucinogenic components from this compound, but you can pop this thing anytime you feel bad, and then you feel all of a sudden great again, and you've got no side effects. I mean, that sounds to me like a very, very interesting product that's going to be highly consumed by this very, very mental health-induced country, or Western civilization for that matter. So anyway, and trolling the interwebs with a $5 rumble rant said the what was this? I don't know how to pronounce that shit. Psilocybin. Here, let me fucking pronounce it. I know you idiots are going to call me dyslexic and all that fucking shit. I don't care. How do you fucking pronounce this shit? Here it is. Pronunciation of this. Here it is. How do you pronounce?
Psilocybin.
Psilocybin. Thank you very much. Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, psilocybin. After effect only lasts about a day or two. That's the thing, though, trolling the interwebs. That's the thing. This particular compound that ENVB is trying to hook up, you can be able to pop it daily. You could be able to pop this daily without any kind of goddamn side effect. So that's why I'm invested in it. I'm just saying, all right, it's enough of that talk in this stock. I just wanted to answer somebody's question. Real Female said, if shrooms were legal, would you take them? Also, thoughts on acid and Molly? No, I wouldn't take them. Now, have I wanted to take the magic mushroom? Maybe. But I'm not big on hallucinogenics. All right, I like to keep my mind somewhat focused, even though it may not be crisp all the time. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, official shekel counter said, so essentially a safe space pill. all right. No, ENVB. All right, somebody's asking. I can't find it. ENVB. E as in Edward, N as in, well, Nazi, V as in vendetta, and B as in bitch. All right, so there it is, ENVB. I'm not telling anybody to fucking buy it. That's I am like it. I have at least like an 8,000 share position or some shit in that. I got an 8,000 share position in that, and I believe that by 2025 they're going to be bought out at least somewhere in the high teens or 20s. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, that's the stock market, right? We'll see what happens. Anyway, with that being said, let me go ahead and continue here. Let's talk a little bit about this economy. And cheers to everybody who is donating and asking questions. I appreciate it. And by the way, if you want to have these kind of conversations on a frequent basis with me, consider joining the True Capitalist Radio membership. All right? Everybody that's in the chat room on the bottom left corner is a member, and you can ask them personally. We have these types of conversations about these subject matters all the time. It is a serious chat room. There's no drama. There's no troll bullshit. None of that crap. All right? We already threw somebody in the woodshed for that. All right? Because they wanted to be a little trolly. They wanted to get a little personal, and we threw their asses in the woodshed. So be assured that if you join the True Capitalist Radio membership, that not only will you be talking to me and a bunch of other smart people that are in there, but there's none of that goddamn drama, dude. Screw all that drama crap. We're tired of it. Anyway, let's get back to the economy a little bit. The reason everybody, I guess, is feeling funny in the pants is because they're anticipating an interest rate cut, which I don't understand why anybody would be championing or applauding a potential interest rate cut at this point in time. And the reason I think that the market was moving is because private payroll growth slows to 152,000 in May, much less than expected. So I'm assuming that the reason everybody was in a buying mood was because they were anticipating that this data is that much more closer for the Fed to cut rates. And the reason most people in the equities markets want this to happen is because when you cut rates, right, everything goes up in price. Because technically, and I've said this 1,000 times, but sometimes people don't understand this, when the Federal Reserve, when they cut rates, that means they start printing money again. That's what that means. All right, because when they cut rates, that means it's going to induce a lot of businesses and consumers to borrow money because the rates are low. So the printing presses continue to go. So when that happens, when more money is printed in circulation, artificially the prices of everything goes up. And that's why all these idiots in the stock market, jerk off whenever there's any kind of talk of interest rate cuts, not knowing that their equities aren't really going up in value. The fucking dollar is losing its value and the price is going up artificially. But try to tell that to these tards, right? Anyway, a real female says type 44 to ban Jag. All right, that's enough. All right, that's enough of that crap. This is not the Ghost Show. All right, ass crack. Anyway, once again, this is the reason I believe everybody was funny in the pants today. Why? I have no idea. But look at this. I mean, can you believe this? NVIDIA overtakes Apple as the number 2 most valuable company right now. And like I said, folks, I don't think that NVIDIA can sustain these prices. And I think that once they do the split that they announced, which is the exact same thing that Cisco Systems did when they were at their all-time highs at the beginning of the early 2000s, I think this is when we're going to start seeing the price correction on this very over-speculated company. And as I stated, when I was discussing how nobody really is buying bio stocks right now, it's because all the money is here. All the money is in tech. It's over-speculated. Everybody wants a piece of this bubble. Anything with AI that has news on it goes up that day. So you know that we're in some kind of a hyper-sensationalistic bubble. And to be honest with you, as much as I like AI, I still think AI has got some time to go before they start, taking over all of our jobs, all right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that it's great for data. I think it's great for, hey, I like making songs with it. Still need some ways to go on the video part of it. But we're still some ways to go. In my opinion, AI is turning into a bunch of companies using it to, have gimmicky type services. And NVIDIA, its whole future is based on artificial intelligence because they create the chips for artificial intelligence. And believe it or not, it takes, I think, 12 times more power to do a artificial intelligence inquiry than it is to do a Google search, which is another interesting component. And I wonder why all the Green New Deal pricks aren't talking about AI and the consumption of power that it does. But anyway, I don't think this lasts very long. I think that you should get in and get out while you can. And where this stops, nobody knows. It just depends on how much people have in their credit cards, because they're certainly not using their own cash to buy this shit. Anyway, with that being said, one more story I want to talk to here. And Trolling the Interweb said, I'm glad the AI ecosphere is very competitive. It really is. I just think right now, I think we've only seen the beginning there, Trolling the Interwebs. I think AI still got some time to go. I think that some of the stuff that's come out is rather fascinating, but it's a little gimmicky. And I don't see it, taking over everybody's jobs here for at least a minimum another 5 years. Right? I mean, in my opinion. But we'll see. Maybe, because of the innovation and all the investment that's going into AI, maybe it'll rapidly facilitate faster than I anticipate. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's get to some other financial news. Very interesting news coming out of Texas. Did you hear about this? Citadel Securities, BlackRock, backed Texas Stock Exchange in a challenge to the NYSE and NASDAQ. You want to know why that is, folks? Because Texas, all right, ever since the latter part of Obama, has been the fastest growing state in the country. More fucking headquarters of corporate America have moved to Texas than any other state in the past 10 years. There is a lot of money in Texas. And as a result, those companies possibly don't want to be on the NYSE anymore. I mean, maybe some of them don't want to be on the NASDAQ anymore. And if you want my opinion, I think this is a great idea. I think this is great for Texas. I think this puts Texas on the same kind of map as New York when it comes to corporate headquarters, when it comes to Wall Street. You know what I mean? Because, I think that Texas can support its own stock exchange on its own, and then you open it up to other investors in the international community. I think it's great. I think it's, once again, another shot in the arm to Texas, and God bless the great state of Texas. I know this is a kind of a personal story for me, but FYI, Texas is still growing, baby. That's why everybody's moving down here. I don't blame them, boy. I don't blame them. Now, I know people are going to be critical and say, well, Ghost, Citadel and BlackRock? Come on. Yeah, what do you... Listen, BlackRock, all right, knows what it's doing. It's pumping the crypto fucking price at the current price that it is. By the way, let's go ahead and talk about crypto. All right, take a look at crypto right now. All right, put the PC shot on. Take a look at crypto right now. Bitcoin crosses back above $70,000 as more spot ETFs launch around the world. Now, once again, what did I tell you? These ETFs were going to pump this damn Bitcoin price. And where does it stop? Nobody knows. But I'll tell you this, I do not think it goes up to 120, 400, or 500,000 like these idiots are talking about. The amount of inflow cash that it's going to be able to take to even get this to 100K is going to be so astronomical that I just don't think it's feasible. I think that at the very most, we get to maybe somewhere close to 80K, and then all the bag holders that are holding the bag from 75 now downward are going to start unloading, and that's what's going to happen. It's going to bring the price back down. But right now, it seems like a very over-speculated market because of the overhype of the ETFs. Remember, I told you guys I told you guys at the end of 2023 that there was going to be a pump because of BlackRock. They're the ones that own most of the Bitcoin anyway. And why does BlackRock want all the Bitcoin? Because BlackRock wants to control it. They want to own the network. They want the ability to go and have the movement of finances without the use of central banking systems. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, currently, how you move money from one country to the next is by going through their transaction system. We have a transaction system under our Federal Reserve System called the SWIFT system. And you see, in my opinion, I think BlackRock wants to be an outside source to be able to send wealth outside of the central banking system. And that's why it wants crypto. That's why it wants Bitcoin. And obviously, it's going to make a buck trying to get it. So aside from it trying to buy control and monopolize the Bitcoin market, it's also going to pump it up so it can fucking make a profit. So that's why every time you see BlackRock's Larry Fink, he's always talking about Bitcoin this, Bitcoin that. And I don't think this gets above 80 before we start seeing another downturn. Anyway, we've got trolling the interweb. This bull run was after the halving was underwhelming. It was really underwhelming. I believe the institutions are using the halving price as a selling target to keep it suppressed. I think you're right. I mean, I think you're getting it, trolling the interwebs, because who's really causing the inflows to make this 70K? These fucking ETFs. All right? It's not regular investors. It's not the crypto tards anymore. I think the crypto tards have gone. I mean, there's very seldom of them. All right? What's causing this price is the inflows of all this shit. And this is just the beginning. Take a look at ETFs, all right? I don't know if anybody really trades exchange-traded funds. They're good to hold for the short term. I mean, if you anticipate a certain sector either going up or going down, ETFs is where to go when you want to make a quick return on that speculation. But if you take a look at an ETF and you take a look at their lifetime chart, it just continues to go down. It just continues to decay. So this price and whatever it ends up at, whether it's 75, 80, it's not going to go past that price. All right? Because ETFs by nature always go down in value. Take a look at any chart of any ETF. I'm just saying. Anyway, if you're holding Bitcoin, good for you. I just don't think you're going to get to 100K or, I mean, it looked like we were, but I think that people have been holding bags, since 2021, and they want to get the hell out of there and get some kind of a return, some type of a profit. And I think 80,000 is that price point, in my opinion. Anyway, look, we've spent a lot of time on finances out here. Let's talk a little bit about, no pun intended, let's make a transition into domestic news and politics. Did y'all see that Anthony Fauci, the guy that Donald Trump made the leader of our country during COVID, he actually was in front of House committee trying to answer questions over his handling of COVID and where the origins of COVID happened. And you know something? I think this was a missed opportunity by the Republicans. I mean, I think they could have really stuck it to Fauci, and instead they decided to use it as some kind of political theater. And if you want my opinion, if you're just some regular schmuck that doesn't understand this whole fucking scenario, you think that Fauci ended up looking better than he did going in. All right? Take a look at this. Put the PC shot on. Fauci fires back at House Republicans in a hearing over COVID origins response. And this is out of PBS NewsHour. Let's just go ahead and listen to it. It covers it very, very well. And I think that Fauci, I hate to say it, I hate this scumbag. He looks better coming out of this than he did going in, and I have to blame the dumbass Republicans for doing this. Play it. Play the
Today,
shit.
a special House subcommittee looking into the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic pressed the man who helped lead the nation's response, Dr. Anthony Fauci, the former head of the National Institute for Allergies and Infectious Disease. William Brangham looks at some of the key criticisms leveled at Fauci's leadership during the pandemic and how he responded today.
Thank you for this opportunity to testify.
The man who was the face of America's COVID response, Dr. Anthony Fauci, returned to Capitol Hill today to publicly answer a barrage of accusations. First, that he used his influence as the head of one of the American government's biggest grant-giving organizations to dictate what researchers said publicly.
This was a big mistake, all right? This was a big mistake because they put too much emphasis on some fucking emails that Fauci used, or some kind of personal email that he used to try to cover up origins of the actual COVID-19 virus. But what they should have done, in my opinion, is go after him and everything that he advised during COVID, which I don't think they really put a point of emphasis on. I'm talking the Republicans.
The pandemic began. About whether it jumped into humans from a wild animal being sold at a Chinese food market in Wuhan, or whether it came from an accidental leak out of the Chinese-run Wuhan Institute of Virology, which was researching coronaviruses.
The accusation being circulated that I influenced these scientists to change their minds by bribing them with millions of dollars in grant money is absolutely false and simply preposterous.
Fauci also faced questions about whether NIAID's passed grants to a virus researcher named Peter Daszak, who's president of the EcoHealth Alliance.
Now, listen to this very closely because they tried to get very technical, but it seemed like Fauci did his homework on how to answer whatever questions the Republicans had for him. And I don't think the Republicans did themselves any favors in this testimony whatsoever. Fauci is a piece of shit. I mean, Fauci went out and, what was it, in March 2020, he was on 60 Minutes saying masks don't mean anything. 2 months later, he was telling everybody not only to wear masks, but to double up on them. All right? This guy clearly doesn't know what he's fucking talking about, and he should be put to his feet to the fire on that fucking stupid, oblivious shit that he did. But instead, they're trying to focus on, well, he created the and look, it doesn't really matter at this point where the hell COVID came from. All right? Because so much time has gone by, and whoever the culprits were that either accidentally released it or intentionally released it, I mean, they've already covered their tracks. And even if you do find any kind of biological evidence, it's going to be so complex to be able to explain it to your average layman that they're going to be tuned off at the first 10 seconds of explanation. So the next best thing, in my opinion, is hold Fauci's leadership into question. I mean, we need to ask him why he thought masks were such a big deal, why he thought leaving children out of schools was the best thing to do, and why is it he shouldn't be held responsible for the response that ended up hurting society more than it helped. I mean, that's what he should be judged on. I mean, do I believe that he had a vested interest in making sure this virus was spread? Sure. I think everybody knows that. But you can't prove that. And you see, the fucking goddamn Republicans used the whole testimony to try to prove that, which I think it made them look like looking for a wild goose chase.
Was supporting research in China about how to make coronaviruses more contagious and virulent.
Failures stem from both
Representative Ronnie Jackson, Republican of Texas, accused Fauci of funding the creation of the pandemic.
It was obvious to everyone that you and your organization, NIH, had a lot to lose if the American people were to discover that COVID-19 was most likely leaked from a lab in Wuhan, China, and that you, via EcoHealth Alliance and Peter Daszak, actually funded this research.
But during supportive questioning from Democrats, including Representative Raul Ruiz of California, Fauci said NIAID did not fund that kind of risky research and said that the viruses Daszak was studying couldn't have been responsible for what became SARS-CoV-2.
You see,
viruses were...
he already has his alibi. You understand? I mean, so I don't understand why the Republicans even went here. He already has his alibi. He already knows what to say. And everything that the Republicans threw at him, he was more confident in giving them a straight explanation. And I think the Republicans should have anticipated this and should have planned a little bit more than just, attempting to get this guy in gotcha moments.
Phylogenetically so far removed from SARS-CoV-2 that it is molecularly impossible for those viruses to have evolved or being made into SARS-CoV-2. It's just a virological fact.
You see,
weeks ago,
he tells you that it's impossible, and he's telling you this whether he's lying or not. Who the fuck's going to prove him wrong or right? You see, that's the position Fauci's in at this point. I mean, he has so much credibility medically that he could just tell you that that is, biologically impossible, and that's all he has to say. Who's going to prove him wrong? Who's going to prove him wrong? What we should be doing is holding his feet to the fire when it comes to his leadership in this shit. An official Shekel counter said they should hold Fauci responsible for the negative impacts on the economy as well. Yes! Remember, Fauci, during one Christmas in 2020, was telling you not to go see your granny because you potentially kill her for giving her a kiss. Give me a break!
Under pressure from House Republicans, the Biden administration announced it would suspend grants to Dasak's organization, alleging it had failed to adequately monitor...
Yeah, now you see, this is kind of interesting, but once again, it is so complex, right? The National Institute of Health and Infectious Diseases, right, which is the organization that Fauci runs, he's basically the kingmaker when it comes to the distribution of government funds for research. Now, this particular research that Fauci had funded had been superseded by the Biden administration and has now been defunded. Now, this defunding was because they didn't monitor the compliance or the conditions related to gain-of-function research.
And report on its work in Wuhan.
A personal email.
Later in the day, Fauci did acknowledge, under repeated pressure from lawmakers like Representative James Comer of Kentucky, that one of his senior advisors, David Morans, violated numerous policies by using private email and altering documents. Representative Jackson also pointed to an email where Moran said Fauci, referred to here as Tony, also used private email to skirt disclosure laws.
Dr. Morans wrote to Dr. Daszak in April of 2021, quote, P.S. I forgot to say there is no worry about FOIAs. I can either send stuff to Tony on his private email or hand it to him to work or at his house. He is too smart to let colleagues send him stuff that could cause trouble.
Now, you see, if you know that, Republicans, then why aren't you trying to use legalese in order to try to obtain records of Fauci's personal email? I mean, why aren't you doing that shit? Because he can just claim which he did, by the way. He said, I never used my email. I never used private email. And he could say that till the cows come home. I mean, it's one thing to find someone else make reference to Fauci, who he's too smart to be using the National Institute of Health and Infectious Diseases email. He uses his personal email, or you could stop by his house. You see what I'm saying, folks? This is why the Republicans, they can't even fucking put Fauci in a corner. They are so incompetent.
Fauci said he didn't know why Morans wrote that and insisted he never discussed COVID policy using his private email. At other times today, Fauci also faced criticism for promoting various public health measures. Republican Brad
right here
of Ohio is chairman of the committee.
You see, the chairman was the only guy that, through how he was, according these different types of COVID methods of response, he was the only guy.
Dr. Fauci, you oversaw one of the most invasive regimes of domestic policy the U.S. has ever seen, including mask mandates, school closures, coerced vaccination, social distancing of 6 feet, and more.
In previous testimony, Fauci said the CDC's initial guidance on maintaining 6 feet of distance.
Now, you see, Fauci, just like your typical bureaucrat, said, well, you know, it really wasn't me, okay? It was the CDC, and I was just saying what the CDC had recommended. And because the CDC actually is the recommendation body to all the doctors and all the hospitals, I just assumed that that was the actual policy. That's how he gets it. That's how he gets it.
Wasn't, quote, based in science, but based on earlier understanding of how far viral droplets...
Dude, I had wrote an article about this, all right, in July of 2020 on Ghost.Report that nobody fucking read, all right? I said all this shit on that article. None of you fucking tards read.
could travel through the air. He tried to clarify that statement today.
Well, when I say was not based in science, I meant a prospective clinical trial to determine whether 6 foot was better than 3, was better than 10.
But once we realized that the virus was not spread by droplets and was aerosolized, did you feel an indication to go back to the CDC and said, let's base this on science?
Children.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
All over America were forced.
You see, and then they bring in this dumb bimbo to ruin the credibility of anything that the Republicans may be fucking leaning on when it comes to Fauci. I can't stand these broads. I don't care if they are Republican. I mean, women shouldn't be in the leadership position, in my opinion. And women, you should entertain this as well, if you want my opinion. Because, I mean, how many more women leaders have to fuck up people's lives before we start recognizing that this is not a good idea? And official shekel counter, I did all the way up until you started using AI to write your articles. I don't use AI to write my articles, you jerk off.
To wear masks.
Fauci also faced a fierce attack from Georgia Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene. She was later admonished by her chairman.
We should be writing a criminal referral because you should be prosecuted for crimes against humanity. You belong in prison, Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, that's great. You said that. That's great. What are you going to do to make that a reality, you fucking stupid dumb bimbo? I mean, this bitch has the authority, or at least part of the authority, to be able to make that happen. And what has she done? She's done nothing other than fucking run her stupid mouth. That's all she's good at. Jesus, take this off. This pisses me off so much, you know that? I mean, we've got Fauci, for Christ's sake, and yet we can't fucking make a... I mean, look at this. Put the PC shut on. Dr. Fauci reveals that, he made up the whole COVID rules, including the 6 feet social distancing and masking. I mean, he just made it up. Fauci said he does not know where the 6 foot social distancing came from. All right? He made it up. All right? So why can't we just go after this and say, wait, Mr. Fauci, you tried to claim that this was supposed science that was directing us to do the stupid fucking masks and 6 foot distancing and all this crap that you told us we had to do. This is where this guy should be arrested. All right? Because it's gross incompetence. Gross incompetence. And yet, does anybody care? That's the bad part about it. Most of America doesn't care. And this is why I always said that I think everybody likes being sick. I think everybody likes being sick and, I got my pills. I got to take my pills. I got my little pill, what do you call it, a little pill separator? Whatever you call those damn things. I got my little pill separator and I got to go to the doctor today. And I think people like that shit. They like talking about themselves. They like people giving sympathy because they're sick. In my opinion. Not even kidding. And on top of Fauci admitting that the 6 feet social distancing and the masks were just a complete bunch of shit, he failed to disclose that people at the NIH have made close to $710 million in royalties from drug makers, a fact that they have been trying to hide. Now, when Fauci was asked this during the testimony, he tried to claim, and you have to listen to his words, he claims that he didn't make anything on COVID-19. Now, he didn't want to answer the question on how much he's made in other proprietary type drugs that were helped with the grants of NIH. He does not want to answer that question. But he claims that he has not made 1 cent from COVID-19. But these are facts that the NIH scientists who use our taxpaying dollars to do these research and development schemes to put these proprietary drugs on the market, they're making $710 million in royalties. Now, there is an argument that can be made, and I think this is a pretty fair argument, that if there are state-of-the-art state-of-the-art drugs, not narcotics, state-of-the-art drugs made with taxpayer grant money, shouldn't the taxpayer have a dibs on some of those royalties? I mean, shouldn't the taxpayer be collecting some of that shit? And the reason I say that is because we have a runaway debt problem going on. And this would be a perfect opportunity to be able to gain some revenue, in order to offset some of that debt. And I mean, particularly the principal. And look, I'm not a big fan of these dumbasses that are crying about getting their student loans wiped off and shit, but they've got a little bit of a point when you've got scientists given grant money from taxpayers that are creating proprietary drugs that are being sold for billions of dollars. I mean, I think that there is an argument that can be made that those people need to kick back some of that money to the United States taxpayer, because that's what the damn college kids are doing. And this is why I keep telling you, college kids, if you think that anyone is going to save your day and eliminate your college debt, you are sadly mistaken, because the college debt situation is the only thing that makes the money for the government. It's one of the few profitable ventures that actually makes annual income for the government, and that ain't going away anytime soon. So anyway, I didn't mean to digress discussing college debt, but I think if you're going to be protesting college debt, pricks, you should be focusing on this. That, hey, I mean, we give scientists grant money to create proprietary drugs that they could sell on the market for billions of dollars, and we don't get a goddamn cent. How is that any different from investing in student body or what? I don't know, however you want to put it. And I mean, but no, you see, you college kids are too stupid. You can't even think of an argument, a comparative argument, in which you can validate your grievance. So much for fucking college, huh? Anyway, enough of that. All right, enough of Fauci, but continuing on with the same idea, this is another thing that maybe Fauci and maybe some of the folks that produce this poison, I don't know, maybe the guy that signed off on it, Donald Trump, maybe these people need to have some flack for these vaccines. Oh yeah, did you hear? Vaccines, COVID vaccines may have helped the fuel rise in excess deaths. All right? Now it's all starting to come out now. All right, it's not a conspiracy anymore. There's actual scientists that are now deducing this, all right, that are within the, I don't know, good old boys club of the international scientific community. All right, COVID vaccines may have helped fuel rise in excess deaths. And this is out of the Netherlands. And they took the data of 47 countries and found that once they rolled out these vaccines, a massive uptick in human death that wasn't typically recorded prior to COVID started happening on an annual basis. So, I know you people that are out there that were, yeah, you know what, I took the vaccine, and guess what? All of you anti-vaxxers out there, you're going to go and you're going to kill Granny. Well, look who's laughing now, baby, all right? Look who's laughing now. I've never been vaxxed, never been tested for COVID, never had COVID, baby. Never had it. And I saw an article today, and I didn't read it, but I saw it, and it said, how did people that didn't take the vax know? How did they know not to take the vax? Well, you dumbass, they fast-tracked this damn thing 3 months. You know how long it takes prior to Trump coming along and fast-tracking and allowing Big Pharma to fast-track this 3-month vaccine? It takes like 20 fucking years before a vaccine, or at least it used to, before it was actually rolled out into the vaccine schedule. Like 20 fucking years of research before it's rolled out into the childhood vaccine schedule or anybody's vaccine schedule. So that's right there is what told me I ain't taking that shit. All right? I mean, that was my personal choice. And thank God I'm an independent capitalist and I'm not beholden to some corporate entity that forced me to do this shit. And I feel bad for you folks that were under that decision and under that constraint. But once again, folks, I tried to tell everybody, if y'all had been listening to me back then, I tried to tell everybody, don't take whatever I took a lot of flack for it. I got banned from places. I told everybody, don't take this fucking shit. All right? Don't take this shit. And official shekel counter said 10 years of testing and 90% of them get axed. 10% of testing is on a group model. It's not rolled out to the general public. They usually don't roll out general public. Well, they're doing them now, but they used to not roll out vaccines for at least 15 to 20 years before they give them away to the public. That's what happened with the measles, and that's what happened to, all these vaccines that are now part of the schedule. But anyway, let's get off vaccines. Let's get off COVID. Although I would strongly suggest everybody, kind of be on the lookout for that bird flu situation. All right, bird flu, we've been talking about it on several shows, but now they've just confirmed a human death. All right, it just happened about 2 hours ago, a human death of bird flu in Mexico. So here we go again. And if you want my opinion, since we're going into a recession or a depression, what better way to stave off stop the recession? What better way to stop the recession than to have another COVID, where you artificially shut down everything? You put everybody in their own homes. You shut down businesses. All right? Because that's exactly what stopped the last crash, because we should have had a crash in 2020, and we didn't. All right, because we had the COVID situation and, we shut down everybody. Then we started pumping money into the economy. And, I believe that will probably happen again. Unless we want to go through a whole prolonged process of 10 years of a depression. All right, I think that it's in the cards, in my opinion, to release another virus and do this whole COVID shit again in order to stop a potential depression. In my opinion, I think it's in the works. So keep your eye on bird flu. Keep your eye also on RSV. Moderna yesterday just got a FDA approval for general distribution for RSV vaccines. So it's going to either be bird flu, RSV. All right, you heard it here. Anyway, trolling the interwebs, I was worried about bird flu, so I bought 20 cats. Now one of my neighbors won't talk to me. All right, that was a good one. Touche, man. All right, touche. All right, let's talk a little bit about politics here, domestic politics. Now, folks, if you've been listening to me for the past month, at the beginning of, at the middle of last month, 3 or 4 weeks ago in May, I told everybody that the Democrats were rolling out this damn border legislation and trying to push it through Congress, knowing that the Republicans were going to shoot it down. And I said in those shows, you can go back in the archive if you don't believe me, I said during those shows that in this legislation, in this border legislation, they have everything the Republicans wanted. Everything. Border wall funding. Thousands of more Border Patrol agents. Redefinition of asylum. Everything. It had everything, and they struck it down because of Trump. And didn't I tell you that these damn idiots in the Republican Party are being played like a fiddle by the Democrats? And I told you that they were going to try to take control and own the border issue. And guess what? A prognosticator strikes again. Biden, all right, through executive order, shuts down the border. Biden rolls out asylum restrictions months in the making in order to gain control of the border. And look, all Biden and every Democrat has to do now is campaign and say, look, we're tough on the border. We were trying to get shit done throughout this whole goddamn session with Congress, and they didn't want to do anything. We tried to push border legislation. Even though the Republicans talk about border this and border that, we tried to push it. They said no. And look, we had no choice. Biden pushed an executive order. And take a look. That's the only issue Trump has, and they have taken it away. This is the only issue Trump has, because what other issue does Trump have? I mean, Trump doesn't have any issues now. I mean, he is a complete contradiction, and I can't believe people are still backing up this guy anymore. I mean, what other issue does Trump have? He doesn't. I mean, now he's trying to appeal to crypto tards, even though he hated crypto all of a sudden. He's like, yeah, you know what? I like crypto now. I mean, they've taken out, there's nothing left for Trump to say other than it's rigged and my election fraud and, you know, this is a corrupt country and all this other shit. That's it. He can't, what's his issue on anything else? He certainly isn't a monogamous guy, obviously, right? So monogamy and family values, that kind of goes out the window. All right, he certainly isn't anti-gay because remember in 2016 he had the Republicans stand up and applaud the LGBTQ contingent of the Republican Party, which was the first time I had ever seen that. So I'm just trying to grasp what is it that people are still hanging on to when it comes to Donald Trump. I don't fucking get it. All right, I get it if you're hanging on to him from this because of the border issue, but that issue has now been usurped. That issue has now been usurped. And I don't understand what's going on. Now, Biden, the reason he had to do that was not only did he want to take he wanted to take the goddamn wind out of Trump's sail when it comes to this issue. But let's be honest, going very good for Joe Biden at this point. Did y'all hear? His boy, Hunter Biden, is on trial for the gun charge. And for all those that don't know, he's being charged with a federal prosecution of owning a gun while possessing some kind of narcotic, which is illegal to do. So if you're ever in the same place of cocaine and a gun, make sure nobody has a camera around, all right? But anyway, they actually got his ex-wife. They have provided her with immunity in order for her to testify in Hunter Biden's case. Now, you all know, folks, I had been saying for months that they are going to, I'm talking the Biden campaign, they're going to sacrifice Hunter Biden. They're going to go and make sure that he's prosecuted. They're going to throw him in jail so they can justify throwing Trump in jail. And that's why he is a sacrificial lamb. That's why Jill Biden is by his side during this trial, because she knows, as well as everybody knows, he's going to have to go to prison. So it can make the Justice Department, which looks, not very good right now, it makes the Justice Department look like it's non-biased in any political direction. And I think that's the culmination of what's going to happen to Hunter Biden. He's definitely going to be prosecuted. And by the way, he's got another trial for his taxes. So this trial is just the gun trial. It's not the taxes either. So Joe Biden, he's not having a very good time in the department of his family. And did you see what this, the Biden is calling a Trump hit piece? Did you hear about this? Wall Street Journal put out that behind closed doors, Biden shows signs of slipping. And they go into this very extensive piece in this article that there's been several different instances throughout the whole administration in which Biden shows that he doesn't remember his own policies, that he seems like he falls asleep. And the Biden administration hit back today and said this is a total Trump hit piece. But hey, Biden, that's the political game, baby. All right, I mean, you got to start looking sharp. I know you're an 80-year-old bag, but you're the president. You got to at least look as though you're competent enough and strong enough to do the damn job. So, of course, there's going to be hit pieces. And official Shekel counter said, at this point, what's the point of even reporting on Trump and Biden except to see how far the clowns at the circus will make us laugh? That's a very good point there, official Shekel counter, because let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about the Republicans, right? Now, if we take a look at the current state of the Republican Party, there's a reason why I'm not very happy. All right, there's a reason why I'm not very happy and why I'm abstaining from this goddamn election. Now, we just saw Marjorie Green Taylor, or whatever her stupid name is out there, completely make a mockery of the Fauci testimony. And then we got Lauren Boebert, okay? This is why the Republicans are going to lose, all right? I don't know what you people are smoking thinking that the Republicans are going to landslide. We look like fucking idiots. And case in point, Lauren Boebert, you all have to see this. I have to show this to you. All right? This is her in a debate, all right? She's actually in a debate for her seat. It's not even her seat anymore. I mean, the seat that she's currently in right now at the House of Representatives, she's already lost it. So she has switched districts in order to try to stay in the Congress. And she had to attend a debate on this issue. And what did they ask her? What about the Beetlejuice theater situation? And did you see this dumb bitch's response? By God, put the PC shut on. Did you see Lauren Boebert's fucking bimbo response? Play this shit.
That was about the softest reference that he could have made, but do you want to talk about the theater thing?
Sure. So, Kyle, I certainly have owned up to my night out in Denver. And, you know, I've gone on that public apology tour, and I'm grateful for the mercy and grace that has been shown. But I'm not going to continue to live life in shame and by this.
I'm not going to live life in shame because I gave somebody a handy while he used my tits as bongos in a public theater, all right, during a theatrical version of the goddamn movie Beetlejuice. Are you kidding me? I mean, this bitch, I can't believe it, dude. I fucking can't believe it. I will not continue to live in shame. You dumb bitch. I mean, it was about a couple of years ago, you were on the floor of the House shaming other people, all right, for their sexual proclivities, for their sexual orientation, for their sexual promiscuousness, the whole 9 yards. And now, all of a sudden, you're taking a goddamn talking point from the bitches from the slut walks? Y'all remember that? I mean, she's out here taking talking points from bitches that attended the slut walks. We're not going to be slut shamed, all right? We're not going to be slut shamed. This is why we're going to lose. We're going to lose because of the contradicting pieces of shit that the Republicans have turned into. How dare this bitch sit here and try to be holier than thou as a supposed conservative Republican, when all along she's a fucking slutty piece of fucking liberal shit. And, I'm not going to be shamed. I'm not going to be shamed. Yeah. And, of course, look at official shekel counter said, yeah, look at those milkers. You can't deny you wouldn't, Ghost. I absolutely would not with this dirty slut. Are you kidding me? She... last year, she was proud to be a 38-year-old grandma. You know how you become a 38-year-old grandma? You shit out a kid when you're a teenager. That's how you become a fucking grandma. How the fuck a bitch like this was allowed to run as the Republican, I have no idea. I have no idea. Unbelievable. Let's play whatever the hell else she says.
I would like to go back to my legislative record for just a second.
We're not going to do that. You had plenty of time to answer the question. You chose not to. That's fine. I just want to make sure.
I'll have more time.
And you have apologized for the theater incident.
I certainly have.
And I just want to make sure. Did you apologize for the behavior that went on with you and your date or the vaping, or did you apologize? Or pardon me. Or did you apologize for lying to voters about what you did that night and the disrespect that you showed to service workers that night? What specifically were you apologizing for?
I don't believe there was disrespect. There were things that were absolutely taken out of context.
There's video of your interactions with service workers. I'm asking, are you apologizing for the lying to voters
that I
or
flipped someone off, and I did not. So, I mean, I think it's been very mischaracterized. I'm apologizing for you, Kyle Clark, getting footage and releasing that. And people seeing this in a very private moment.
Certainly. It was very important to figure out whether you were telling the truth or whether a public agency was lying about your conduct. Either way was very important.
Oh, my God. As you can see, all right, she doesn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of when it comes to being politically viable at this point. I mean, this is what's representing the Republican Party right now. All right? This is what's representing the Republican Party. All right? And by the way, it's not only dunces and contradicting pieces of shit like this who make us look like shit. Now all of a sudden we've turned into the fringe. I'm talking, we've turned into the fucking Antifa side on the right side. The right wing has turned into Antifa. You don't believe me? Take a look at this. The GOP push for post-verdict payback. Fight fire with fire. So now what they're campaigning on, and I'm talking about Trump's campaign, is, yeah, I'm going to pay everybody back. Yeah. It's not, hey, I'm going to make America better. I'm going to bring back jobs to America. No, we're going to pay everybody back. Yeah. Isn't that kind of what he said the last time? Isn't that what he said the last time? Everybody remember back in 2016, lock her up. Lock her up. What happened with that shit? Lock her up. Lock her up. And hold on, wait a minute. Official shekel counter said maybe she has dyslexia and misheard lots of handshakes as a politician as hand jobs. All right, that's enough, all right? But once again, this is what the GOP has turned into. Yeah, we're going to pay everybody back, man. Yeah, lock her up. And speaking of lock her up, did you hear what? Let's go talk a little bit about Trump, for Christ's sake. Did you actually remember when Trump would be lock her up? Guess what this guy is saying now? The continuation of contradiction when it comes to MAGA. Take a look at this. Trump denies saying lock her up. Trump denies saying lock her up. I mean, this, how much more contradiction can you people that support this guy continue to fucking overlook, man? I mean, for Christ's sake. All right? He denies saying lock her up. Even though I remember very vividly.
That for $1.
Oh, look at Donald J. Trump. Lock her up. I never said that. That's a splice. Oh, yeah? Here, let's play some video. All right, let's play some fucking video. Play this shit.
Tell you what, for what she's done, they should lock her up. She's disgraceful. It's disgraceful.
So crooked Hillary, crooked, you should lock her up, I'll tell you.
I'll tell you something, though, and it's fair to lock them up. You shouldn't lock them up. Lock up the Bidens. Lock up Hillary. Okay, here's one. Just came out. Lock her up is right. You know what? I've been saying, let's just beat her on November 8th. But you know what? No. You know what? I'm starting to agree with you, I'll tell you.
Lock her up. I cannot believe this guy. I cannot believe this guy. I mean, this is why I don't support this dude. Well, outside of the whole COVID nonsense, but he's just a walking contradiction, man. A walking contradiction. And how can Republican people support somebody so contradictory? I have no idea. I mean, we used to be the adults in the room, for Christ's sake. We used to be the adults in the room. Now we're the Antifa. We're Antifa now. You don't believe me? You don't believe me that we're Antifa now? Take a look at this if you don't think that we're Antifa. Put the PC shot on. Live stream abruptly ends as Laura Looney Loomer calls for Democrats to be executed. Huh? Oh, no, we're not turning into Antifa. And here's this condom head fucking idiot, Tim Pool. Play this.
I'll put it this way. Should Democrats be in jail? No question. When Donald Trump gets elected, should he start locking them up? No question. Should there be lists of Democrats that need to go to jail? 100%. And the reason for that is they've committed crimes. We need to make sure that when Donald Trump wins, we've got an attorney general, a deputy attorney general, a head of the CIA and the FBI. Kash Patel would be fantastic. We can have attorney general. There's some names floating around. And then they can start having their investigators and the feds issuing subpoenas, pulling up evidence, and with real evidence, bring them to judges for warrants. Then these people can spend three years of their lives fighting tooth and nail for the crime against the government for crimes they committed, and we can prove. Yeah. And the reason why we put them on trial is that we can show the whole world we will uncover what you've done. We will make sure everyone knows, and you will be held accountable for it.
Not just jail, they should get the death penalty. You know, we actually used to have the punishment for treason in this country.
Oh, yeah, and of course, you know, Tim Pool had to end that really fast because YouTube would gank his goddamn monetization, and he can't do that, right? I mean, I got to continue the Trump grift, all right? It's too good right now. And by the way, that's the only reason why anybody is following Trump right now, all right? He's a good grift. All you got to do is say pro-Trump this, pro-Trump that, and everybody and their brother will send you money. All right? You don't believe me? Ask that idiot, salty fucking idiot Cracker. Why don't you ask that moron? Ask that stupid, dumbass idiot, all these stupid MAGA people, fucking Crowder, all those dumb assholes, dude. That's all it is. It's a fucking grift. And you see, I stand for my own political convictions. I don't stand for a cult of personality. All right? And I certainly do not believe, even though I disagree with the Democrats and I think they've ruined the country domestically, I don't think people should be fucking executed, dude. That's fucking stupid. All right? That's what Antifa and shit talks. All right? We don't live in that kind of a goddamn country. This is not some, you know, piss-poor African country in which, you know, we throw a fucking armed military junta in order for us to exchange power. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Once again, you know, Laura Loomer, and I guess you got to throw Tim Pool in with this because he keeps having her on his show. I mean, doesn't this technically mean that they're terrorists now? Doesn't this technically mean that Tim Pool is endorsing terrorism on folks that are, you know, serving in Congress? I mean, doesn't this add on to that stupid, dumb January 6th bullshit? Why would these dumbasses say something like this? That's why I'm saying this is where we're headed. This is where we're at. I don't want to be affiliated with a right wing that says shit like this. All right? I absolutely do not want to be with the right wing that has no policies, that has no ideas other than, we're going to get payback. Yeah, we're going to lock them up. And then threatening executions? Are you kidding me? Unbelievable. Unfucking believable. But hey, I mean, it's yet another one of a long list of contradictions that this MAGA movement has now done here post-COVID. And by the way, I just wanted to remind everybody, once upon a time, Trump said that a president under a felony indictment would grind the government to a halt and create a constitutional crisis. Remember when he said that? All of a sudden, that went out the window now that he's a convicted felon, right? Play this shit. Play it. Everybody's got to see this. This is ridiculous.
Serve effectively as president if you're under federal indictment for mishandling classified information. Donald Trump said that 6 years ago in 2016. And now he, of course, finds himself under federal indictment for allegedly mishandling classified information. And Donald Trump didn't just say this once. He said there's upwards of a half dozen times at the end of that 2016
this is contradictory shit.
After James Comey
this is contradictory
that investigation into Hillary Clinton's private email server. Now, Trump did say this numerous times.
Look, hey
there
assholes.
Would be a possible constitution.
Hey, assholes, it doesn't matter who the source is. It matters whether or not the information is accurate or not. And this is a valid point because, yet again, another contradiction that Trump is putting himself in. All right? I mean, give me a fucking break. You people need to recognize that you're voting for some skunk-headed billionaire that has no policies anymore. He has nothing. And let me tell you, the reason that I'm so upset about Trump, aside from all the contradicting and ruining the Republican Party with all these pathetic candidates and shit, it's his foreign policy. It's his foreign policy. He wants to suck the schlong head of Vladimir Putin. He wants to suck the schlong head of this Chinese president. Fuck that. All right? This is America's fucking world. And we're not going to sit here and hold hands to some second-rate powers. We're tired of that shit. So in my opinion, that alone has made me say, fuck Trump, you fucking Russian asset. All right? Fuck that shit.
Institutional crisis if Hillary Clinton were to be elected president. Take a listen to just a few of those clips that we found.
We could very well have a sitting president under felony indictment and ultimately a criminal trial.
Well, everything seems to be okay when it's him. It's okay when it's him.
It would grind government to a halt. If she were to win, it would create an unprecedented constitutional crisis that would cripple the operations of our government. She is likely to be under investigation for many years, and also it will probably end up, in my opinion, in a criminal trial. I mean, you take a look. Who knows? But it certainly looks that way.
Once again, more contradiction, and why anybody is still with any kind of values. Why would anybody still be even entertaining this as an option? I have no idea. Why is anybody even entertaining this as an option? But guess what? Remember, once Trump was down with RFK Jr. Y'all remember RFK Jr., who's now also running for president as a third party? I'd just like to remind everybody, yet another contradiction of Trump. When Trump was running for president, he said that he wanted to appoint a vaccine board, and he was going to put RFK Jr., the head of that board, to investigate vaccine safety. Does anybody remember that? All right, but here it is. All right, here it's from 2017. It says Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in the lobby of Trump Tower in New York Tuesday. After meeting with President-elect Donald Trump, Kennedy said that Trump put him in charge of a commission on vaccine safety. Now, what happened with this? Well, Bill Gates talked to Trump and told him it was a bad idea, and Trump dropped it. All right? These are facts. These are facts. So the reason I bring this up is because now he's bad-mouthing Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and I think he said on his Truth Social about a couple of weeks ago that if it was between him, RFK Jr., and Biden, that he would go and vote for Biden. He would vote for Biden. That's what Trump said. Trump fucking said that shit. What the fuck is Trump talking about, man? I mean, that's why I'm saying, what are you people following? I mean, what policies is he advocating? I still watch all of his rallies and shit. I mean, what is he advocating? Every one of his rallies is him pissing and moaning about how everything's unfair. How everything's unfair and all that other shit. That's all I hear. Oh, and people are saying, no, that's bullshit, Ghost. Fucking Bill Gates didn't tell him to stop it. Oh, yeah, here, let's play this shit. Just play this fucking shit, all right? And look, I get it, it's MSNBC, but hey, I mean, they got the clip. All right, put the PC shot on.
You ever wonder what people who've actually met Donald Trump, especially powerful, successful people in American business and beyond, who've had to try and interact with him because he's the leader of the free world, say about those encounters behind closed doors? All In has obtained some never-before-seen footage that gives you a good idea of what one of the wealthiest men in the world, Bill Gates, thinks of the president. Bill Gates took questions during a recent Gates Foundation meeting with staff, and he talked about meeting Donald Trump. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, so I never met Donald Trump before he was elected. There was
That's a lie.
During the election where he and I were at the same place and I avoided him. Anyway, then he got elected, and so I went to see him in December. He knew my daughter Jennifer because Trump has this horse show thing down in Florida. In fact, he went up and talked to Jen and was being super nice. And then, like 20 minutes later, he flew in a helicopter to the same place. So clearly he had been driven away, but he wanted to make a grand entrance in a helicopter. Anyway, So when I first talked to him, it was actually kind of scary how much he knew about my daughter's appearance. But Melinda didn't like that too well. Anyway, so I saw him at Trump Tower. I said, hey, science and innovation is a great thing. You should be a leader who drives innovation. And that conversation was about a broad set of things in energy, in health, in education. Pick things you want to do that are big. HIV vaccine, you could, accelerate that. Be associated with innovation. And then the second time I saw him was the March after that, so March 2017 in the White House. In both of those two meetings, he asked me if vaccines weren't a bad thing, because he was considering a commission to look into ill effects of vaccines. And somebody, his name is Robert Kennedy Jr., was advising him that vaccines were causing bad things. And I said, no, that's a dead end. That would be a bad thing. Don't do that. Both times he wanted to know if there was a difference between HIV and HPV. So I was able to explain that those are rarely confused with each other.
Yeah, as you could see, all Bill Gates had to say was like, yeah, don't appoint that commission, all right? All right? Even though you campaigned on it in 2016, and when you became president-elect, you almost made it a reality. Here it is. NPR reported on it in 2017. It says Robert Kennedy Jr. in the lobby of Trump Tower in New York Tuesday after meeting with President-elect Donald Trump. Kennedy said Trump put him in charge of a commission on vaccine safety. And all it took was for big billionaire Bill Gates, who obviously doesn't respect Trump, for him to say, no, don't do that, for him not to do it. All right? So obviously, Trump is beholden to somebody, and it isn't operating on his own accord. That's proof within itself. And if you don't want to believe that, then you're an idiot. And speaking of which, RFK Jr. is actually taking away fucking votes from Trump. Look at this. RFK Jr. swings the edge to Biden in key battleground states. So obviously RFK Jr. didn't appreciate, having his prick in his hand when he thought that Trump was serious about this commission on vaccines, because now he's taking away votes from Trump in key battleground states. That's why Trump now, he's on his Truth Social talking major trash about RFK Jr. and saying that he would rather vote for Biden if it was a decision between RFK and Biden. Now, why the hell would he say that, considering that he respected this man once upon a time to appoint him to a commission on vaccine safety? Yet again, more contradictory bullshit. More contradictory bullshit. And if you all can sit there like a fucking horse that's in the city getting whipped on, getting fucking couples, point A to point B in a carriage and shit, and have blinders on your eyes, that's your fucking problem. All right, that's your fucking problem. I ain't gonna fucking sit there and pretend that this shit doesn't exist. All right? And one more thing about Trump, since everybody thinks that, it's gonna be a red landslide, Trump's gonna win. We're already seeing, yet again, Trump's influence when it comes to the political sphere in America is nothing, it's no more. Take a look at this. Curtis Bashaw defeats Trump-endorsed candidate to win GOP Senate nod. Take a look at this, all right? What's this? Hotelier? What is that? Hotelier? What the fuck kind of name is that? Hotelier? Hotelier is your fucking name? Curtis Bashaw will defeat Mendham Mayor Christian Serrano Glasner. Jesus fucking Christ. Where the fuck is this? Oh, it's New Jersey. No wonder. What the fuck kind of goddamn names are these? Hotelier Curtis Bashaw will defeat Mendham Mayor Christian Serrano Glasner. Give me a fucking break. In the race for the Republican nod for U.S. Senate, they're actually going and he's going to face Andy Kim. Andy Kim represents the 3rd District in Congress out there in New Jersey. They're going to run for the seat that is currently being held by Bob Menendez. Bob Menendez, who just beat a case against corruption about a couple of years ago, has a new case now on corruption, and he's currently on trial for federal bribery charges. So the Democrats have since kicked out Bob Menendez. So that's why they're running Andy Kim as their representative for the party for this seat. And Bob Menendez has to go out as an independent in order to try to run for re-election for this Senate seat. So Bob Menendez isn't doing too well at all. Bob Menendez ain't doing too well, and thank God, that guy was a corrupt piece of shit. He barely skated through a trial for corruption 2 or 3 years ago, and yet here he is again on federal bribery charges. Unbelievable. And official shekel counter said, "You sure it's New Jersey? It sounds like the UK to me." Yeah, well, it does sound like it. It does sound like some weird names and shit. But once again, it shows that the luster of Trump's endorsements is almost a political death sentence at this point. And this is why I keep telling each and every one of you, this is why I didn't want Trump to run as the presidential candidate for the Republican Party. All right, because Trump is no longer politically viable with the general American public. I know that you folks that, I don't know, you would jerk him off if he pulled out his schlong head. I get it. But that doesn't mean that he is a good candidate for president. All right, I keep looking at every one of his damn rallies, and he doesn't talk about policy at all. The only policy he talks about is the border this and the border that. And as I alluded to you here earlier, that Biden and the Democrats have already taken that issue away. So what else does he have? What else does he have? He doesn't have a damn thing. And trolling the interweb says, wasn't he robbing armored cars or gold or something? Menendez, I don't know what he was doing. He's taking bribes. Let's put it that way. He was for sale. All right? He was for sale. Cat cans. How do we get our country back? And if it's lost forever, where do we go? Look, cat cans, I've been explaining this. I hate to say this. I think that I'm talking the GOP, we need an awesome loss in order for us to get that bad taste in our mouths, in order to inspire us to revamp the party. Because right now, the party doesn't mean anything anymore. There really is no difference from the Republican Party and the Democrat Party at this point. That's why the Republicans are losing, especially ones that are endorsed by Trump. I mean, how much more of a losing streak do we need to see before we recognize that Trump has no political luster whatsoever? And remember, cat cans, all right, a country is made for the people and by the people here in America, all right? So the people have to go and find folks that oblige a certain policy, elect those folks so they can implement that policy. There's no more policies. The only policies that are actually going out and are being formulated right now are on the fucking Democrat side. That's why I said a month ago, you could go back in the archive, that them bringing up this border issue was purely a political ploy to take the issue of the border, which is the only issue that Donald Trump is running on at this point, take it right away from him. And let me get to a couple of donos here. We got Pookie from 713. Ghost, you sound like in a good mood today. Opened up a Schwab account today so I could flip this EBT into some big money stocks. Thanks for the show. Yeah, great. Thanks a lot. And there's Donald Trump. Lock her up. I never said that. That's a splice. Anyway, I want to say cheers to everybody who is in the True Capitalist Radio membership room. And if you would like to keep this show troll free and text to speech free, excuse me, consider hooking it up with a True Capitalist Radio membership. It is a serious room for serious conversation. We don't want to have any personal information. We don't want any drama. Any inkling of that, you're out of there. All right? Any troll, any internet blood sports, any of that shit, you're out of there. And let me give some props to everybody who is in the chat room over here at the True Capitalist Radio Show chat room. And by the way, if you want to chat with us, join so you can chat with us on the live stream. Cheers to trolling the interwebs. There's Jag the Luxray, Sapphire Fox, Blade the Stelron Hunter. There's the Woodshed Enforcer, Godline in the house. Who else do we have? I know we probably have some more people in here. Dougie Jones, Jatario, TCS, Tesla Cyberheart. Good conversation last night, man. Frank Castle, Monkey's Uncle, Walskin. We got Gorgira. What's up? Gugas, Grimmer, Kitsu, Lambo Subordinate, Michael Wallace, Mop Bucket. Who else do we have here? We got Zamboni Driver, Vitaly Cockeyed Russian, V Bodice, Space Train, Snake Ass, Prince, Odin Saw. Cheers to all you guys, man. All right, everybody who is a member of the True Capitalist Radio membership. I will be in there later on tonight to talk. If you want to discuss anything, anything political, anything business, anything international, hook us up. And once again, consider hooking it up with a True Capitalist Radio membership. All you got to do is go to buymeacoffee.com/GhostPolitics, and you'll be making this damn show troll-free, believe me. All right, so anyway, let's go ahead and transition, no pun intended, to some international news, all right? Let's talk a little bit about Russia. All right, put the PC shot on. Take a look at this. Putin is set to increase taxes to pay for war in Ukraine. Now, how do you think this is going to be? Do you think this is going to make the folks in Russia feel like, I don't know, that much better? I mean, they're already shady economically because of the sanctions and the war and everything else. Now, Putin is going to have to raise taxes in order to pay for this damn thing. In order to pay for this damn thing. It just keeps getting worse for Russia as far as I'm concerned. And we got the official shekel counter over there where the Rumble ran. It is this point, it sounds like man-children pandering to nostalgia crap, hanging on to 2016 Trump good feels moment, trying to recreate that feeling. I agree with that. I mean, I don't agree with you much there, official shekel counter, but I certainly agree with that. These folks are trying to vicariously live nostalgically in 2016, and it ain't going to happen. But turning back to Russia, all right, once again, not looking good for Putin. He's having to do a lot of desperate measures out here, and part of that is raising taxes for this war because he's in a wartime economy and he needs to pay for more military armaments, military men, military tanks, and everything else. So once again, let's raise taxes, all right, to an already demoralized people. And aside from him raising taxes, I don't know if y'all heard about this, but Putin is in a constant state of fear and doesn't trust anybody. Doesn't trust anybody. Take a look at this. Paranoid Putin, official arrest signal, coup-proofing efforts amid fears of Russian soldier rebellion. So they're arresting anyone that they believe could potentially have motive or potentially plotting a coup. All right, I'm sure this is happening a lot since Prigozhin in. But once again, this goes to show you that Putin really doesn't have the full hard-line authority that he claims to have whenever he tries to project himself on the grand stage of the world. And in actuality, this guy is scared shitless. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy has intestinal problems because of all the worrying this guy has to do because he brought it on himself. And now he's pot committed to this war. That's why I said on the last broadcast, he's been trying his damnedest last week to approach the West with a broken olive branch, suggesting that he's open to peace talks. He's open to ceasefire, but he wants to take whatever geography that the Russian military has already taken, he wants that to be Russian clay. And obviously, the Ukrainians ain't down with that. The West isn't down with that. So as a result, I mean, he's paranoid as hell. He's arresting and killing everybody possible. And it goes to show you that as much as many of the magatards, which have all been co-opted by Russia, are praising Russia and making it seem like it's so great, like Tucker Carlson, it ain't doing too well. And you want to know why? Because the United States has given Ukraine the okay to strike inside of Russia with U.S. weapons. And guess what? They did just that. They did just that. Ukraine strikes into Russia with U.S. weapons for the first time, official says. So now this takes a whole new dynamic to the war. And this move by Antony Blinken was to check Russia and Medvedev because they keep throwing the nuclear word around. You know, they keep throwing the nuclear threat and allowing Ukraine to send U.S. weapons inside the border of Russia is basically telling Russia, shit or get off the pot. All right, if you got nukes, then use them. We don't believe it. We don't believe you. And as I alluded to on the last show, I think people forget that we had a denuclearization deal with Russia right after the fall of the Soviet Union. During the Boris Buy Me a Beer Yeltsin phase of the post-Soviet Union, we had everybody in Russia, United States researchers, International Atomic Energy Agency researchers, deconstructing nuclear weapons that had been accumulated by Russia during the Cold War. And I think, in my opinion, that's why the State Department and the CIA and everybody who's in charge of this foreign policy, that's why they're so confident in allowing U.S. weapons to strike within Russia, because, I mean, they don't think that Russia has the nukes. And if they do have nukes, it's tactical nukes. I mean, it's not going to be able to, blow away a city. I mean, it's going to have a massive devastation when it comes to the explosion area, but it's not going to be a mushroom cloud that eliminates millions of people. And I think that everyone knows that, and that's why we're allowing Ukraine to hit within Russia's borders with U.S. weapons. It's almost like if you're going to use nukes, use them. And it doesn't seem like they're using them as of late. I mean, there's a bunch of evidence. I mean, we've already validated that, yes, we're striking within Russian border with U.S. artillery. And as that happens, take a look at this. Putin again, trying to show signals that, hey, come to the debate table. Let's go negotiate. Let's strike a deal, my friend. Let's strike a deal. Take a look at this. Vladimir Putin just tactfully admitted Crimea is not really part of Russia. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? Putin is now starting to suggest that, hey, here's a peace deal. Hey, hey, Crimea was never Russia. I mean, he's saying all this different shit because he knows that America is going to, I think we're going to push forward. I think we're going into Russia. I mean, I don't know if y'all heard, we're actually deploying troops in Europe now. All right? And I think, as I stated on the last show, I think that we're so emboldened that we're just going to go right into Russia and remove Putin at this point. I think that we don't give a shit. And I think that we're going to show China and everybody else that tries to step up to the West in general that this will happen to you, all right, if you continue to act like you're some fucking goddamn dictator from the 20th century. I mean, these are clear signals that Putin is not as confident as he claims to be. I mean, why did he tactfully admit that Crimea is not a part of Russia? Why is he purging everybody from his government? Because he's not in a very good position at all. All right? Now, with that being said, he is throwing a lot of signals that he is not in a very good position. So when he shows weakness, he has to show strength. So what he's doing now is trying to move the military theater into another direction. Take a look at this. Russia is preparing major offensive, Ukrainian military says, as shelling kills civilians in Kramatorsk. All right? Ukrainian military says there are clear signs that the Russian forces are getting ready for a major push in the east, where a stalemate continues despite months-long heavy fighting and intensive daily shelling by Moscow's troops. Quote, the enemy is actively conducting reconnaissance, preparing for an offensive in certain directions, Ukrainian general staff said. So they are now, once again, using their traditional Russian method of warfare in which they send waves of men after men to overwhelm the enemy. And it seems as if Russia is going to continue to do that And let's see how well that works out for him. As I've alluded to you, it doesn't seem like Putin is in a very confident position. But let's see. And look, here we got Urinator. Who's we? I'm dodging. Look, anybody who's dodging the draft, get the fuck out of my country right the fuck right now, you piece of shit. All right? You people take advantage of the spoils of this country. And you're going to sit here and try to talk crap about dodging the draft? I think just by saying you're going to dodge the draft, you should be put in jail. Just by saying you're going to dodge the draft, you should be put in fucking jail. Anyway, sorry. Let's talk a little bit about Zelensky while we're at it. Put the PC shot on. Zelensky accuses China of pressuring countries not to attend the upcoming peace talks. Well, as I told you on the last show, it doesn't seem like Joe Biden is going to attend that. And the reason is, folks, is because it's being hosted by Europe. And Europe is trying to move in on our moves. And we're not going to go and allow Europe to be the peacemaker of this shit. So I don't think it's China pressuring other countries. It could be the U.S. itself. All right, because we certainly don't want Europe to be the mediator of all this crap. All right, where the fuck was Europe? The whole reason why the United States has started giving military assistance to Ukraine, because the fucking Eurocucks were sitting on their thumbs. All right? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we should send any kind of aid to Ukraine. I don't know. Stupid Eurocucks. And Urinator said, dodging is the most American thing you can do. Yeah, go fuck yourself, all right? Fucking cowards, all right? You're a fucking coward. And you know what? Speaking of China, let's go ahead and transition into China since we were talking about Russia. This is another sign that not only is Russia not doing well, but also Russia and China, what have I told you about them? That their so-called partnership is purely optics. It's purely optics for the world chessboard. And this, what I'm about to show you, proves that. Take a look at this. Put the PC shot on. Russia and China gas pipeline deal stalls over Beijing's price demands. I thought their friendship was unlimited. Remember that? The prognosticator of prognosticators strikes again. I told you all that this goddamn Russia-China shit was a bunch of crap. That these people don't like each other, they're enemies to each other, and they're just optically showing that they're allies, but they really don't like each other because they have each their own individual imperialistic ambitions. And they certainly don't want to help each other for each other's imperialistic ambitions, but they don't want the enemy to know that, so they always show a unified front. But even though they show a unified front, they never agree to do anything together. Anyway, official shekel counter said dodging is only for the tard right supporters. Yeah, no shit. Fucking tard right. But once again, as I stated, Russia, China, not really allies, all for show. This validates it. They can't even agree for a pipeline. And why? What do I always said about the Chinese? The Chinese, I don't know if it's an Asian thing, how they negotiate is you do everything I say, and if not, it's no deal. That's how they negotiate. There's no compromise. There's no trying to negotiate a deal with these people. That's how they are. And they're not just that way with the United States. They're that way with their so-called allies, right? They're supposed to be Russia. Unlimited friendship, quote unquote, right? Anyway, Urinator hooked it up with a Rumble rant. I did my time, never doing that again. Rather chew broken glass than do that again. Well, I'm glad that you served, Urinator, but don't fucking be saying that you're going to dodge any damn draft. Don't be encouraging these fruit bowls out here who would rather go to a Comic-Con and wax their carrot to fucking cartoons than to go out and serve their country, boy. Anyway, since we're talking about China, let's go ahead and talk about China. Now, as we said on the last broadcast, all right, Lloyd Austin went to the Shangri-La summit over there in Asia and rubbed elbows with the defense minister of China. And after that, Lloyd Austin came out and said this. U.S. Defense Secretary says war with China neither imminent nor avoidable, stressing a need for talks. All right? So, obviously, the little rubbing elbows with the Chinese defense minister at that Shangri-La get-together over there in Singapore actually yielded something, because if Lloyd Austin is saying that a war with China is neither imminent nor unavoidable, I mean, that suggests that there must have been some positive dialogue there. There must have been something that Lloyd Austin sees, that the Chinese are a bunch of shit, just like I've always said. All right? I said it on the last show, that Xi Jinping and China continue to talk all tough. They continue to talk all this crap, and yet they do nothing. Either shit or get off the pot, China. All right? You sound like the Chinese boy that cried panda, for Christ's sake. All right? Stop with the saber rattling and either do something or shut the fuck up and stick fucking chopsticks up your ass. But as I stated, Lloyd Austin doesn't seem to think that China is in a war footing with us at this point, which is very interesting. Very interesting what we have here. And trolling the interwebs with a Rumble rant, Lloyd Austin caught yellow fever and is selling us out. Oh, come on, dude. He caught yellow fever and selling us out? Give me a break. Now, with that being said, even though Lloyd Austin said that war with China is not inevitable or unavoidable, the defense minister of China comes out and, of course, acts like his Asia tough guy self and says China's ready to forcefully stop Taiwan independence. That's what they've been saying for years. All right? Either shit or get off the pot. I'm tired of China talking and talking and talking. Fucking do something! Take the fucking egg roll out of your ass and do something! They can't. And I think the United States knows they can't. And as I've alluded to, their one-child policy has made them impotent. I mean, even if they do go to war, I think that the losses that they'll take in that war will devastate the morale of the country. I mean, every family in China devotes everything to this one child. That's why they call it the little emperor syndrome. And I personally believe that it'll demoralize the country completely if they see mass casualties of their one and only child. And then what do you have? You don't have a country. If you've got a demoralized population, you have no country. So I think that China is just blowing smoke out of its ass, and it isn't going to do shit. And if it does, I think that it's committing suicide. Because whether they go to war or not, because of their population problems due to the one-child policy, they are having a population issue by about 2030, 2035, where they're going to start losing massive amounts of people because of the one-child policy. Most of the population are elders. Most of the population are elders. So this is a major population problem, and the same thing goes for Russia. And that's why Russia, in my opinion, decided to take its fate into its own hands and decided to go into Ukraine. By the way, why do you think they wanted to go into Ukraine? Aside from the natural resources and, monetary issues, they wanted that population because they're running out of white Russians, and I don't mean the goddamn drink. All right, they're running out of Russian people, so they wanted to take over Ukraine to usurp that population and incorporate them into the nationalistic Russian population. That's why they're doing it. As a matter of fact, have y'all read? I haven't really covered this, but Russia is stealing children from Ukraine. Like stealing. I think they've already stole like 30,000 children from Ukraine.
I'd buy that for $1.
And the reason that they're stealing them is to replenish their population because they have a population problem. And same with China. So it's a very, very interesting situation that China and Russia are in. But they put themselves in that situation themselves. They put their own situation themselves. They put the PC shot on. We got Chang Chong who said, "You motherfucker, you don't know about the communist government of China. We stick chopstick up your ass." All right, I can't say it like that, but they're trying to make reference to Mr. Fortune Cookie, which was an old bit I did. Can't do it anymore because we live in a political correct society that'll cancel your ass if you do something like that. So, sorry, all right? Anyway, thank you very much. And by the way, consider joining the True Capitalist Radio membership. And not only will you support the show, you keep the trolls out of here, all right? You keep the trolls out of here. Because I'll tell you right now, if I turned on text-to-speech, it would be horrible. I don't even want to think about it. Anyway, aside from China flexing nuts on Taiwan, now the Philippines, who they have been kind of trying to intimidate in the South China Sea, they've had enough. All right? They've had enough. Look at this. The Philippine troops are accused of cutting Chinese fishing nets, all right, near the Second Thomas Shoal, which is in the South China Sea. And I'll be honest with you, I think the Philippines knows that China ain't a goddamn thing. And that's why something mean from the Philippines is now trying to confront China. And by the way, I don't know if y'all heard about this, but we're moving military assets over there in the Philippines because of this. All right? And look, I mean, even though I think China could possibly take the Philippines, it's going to sustain a lot of casualties, once again, that I don't think the population of China is ready for. I certainly don't think so. I think that this is another bad move, and I think that China should send its foreign minister over there to try to rectify this situation, because I don't think China's in a position to do anything. I don't think they're in a position to do any kind of warfare. I don't think they're in a position to do any kind of invasion. None of that shit. None of that shit. I think, and I've told you all this, and I'm going to continue to tell you all this, if I was Xi Jinping, I would, instead of looking at Taiwan, instead of trying to saber rattle with goddamn Philippines, I'd go right to Pakistan. And folks, it looks like what I've been suggesting for the past couple of months, in which China gets the okay from the Pakistan government in order to send in Chinese troops to quash any opposition to the China-Pakistan corridor. I think that's about to come into reality. Did y'all take a look at this? Terrorism and economy expected to be top agenda at China-Pakistan talks as security concerns clout Belt and Road Initiative. Pakistani Prime Minister will head to China, where he will meet with Xi Jinping and the Premier Li Qiang. Beijing is the South Asian country's key trading partner and investor, but Chinese-driven infrastructure projects have been targets of terrorist attacks. And that's why I'm telling you all, folks, all right? That's why I'm saying this is where Xi Jinping needs to focus on. If he wants to show that China is a formidable superpower, it can display its military might by quashing any of the uprisings in the Chinese-Pakistan corridor in Pakistan. And if they sustain any casualties, it'll be very limited as compared to confronting a country like Philippines or Taiwan. And this will help maintain the superpower status of China and save China's face. All right? Let's see if Xi Jinping does what I say. They're taking the necessary steps to make it a reality, but once we start seeing boots on the ground of Chinese troops in Pakistan, it'll be yet another long list of prognostications that yours truly has prognosticated, baby. Anyway, the Pakistani Prime Minister is going to spend like 5 days in China. So it's a very serious deal. It's a very serious meeting. So much so that, take a look at this. China decided to unveil its airport that it helped build in Pakistan. Take a look at this. The Gwadar port city starts test flights, and it's the Chinese-aided airport, which is a part of this Belt and Road Initiative. That's why China's pretty pot committed to Pakistan. I mean, it's pretty pot committed to Pakistan. That's why it kills a lot of birds with one stone if Xi Jinping takes my advice and goes into Pakistan as a, quote, peacekeeping mission in order to maintain safety around the Belt and Road Initiative. And you could see, I mean, I'll be honest with you, you could tell your damn troops shoot to kill, all right, and massacre all these ISIS, Tariq-i-Taliban, the Balochistan separatists, all these people. And it'll maintain China's superpower status without having to confront an actual nation state. And they're pot committed. You know, they've made all this investment, right? So they want to be paid back too, right? Take a look at this. Put the PC shot on. Investments, loans, as Prime Minister of Pakistan arise. All right? Chinese-Pakistan Economic Corridor is what the CPEC is. So, of course, they're going to be talking investments. Of course, they're going to be talking loans. Of course, they're going to be talking this. There's billions of dollars on hold right now in investment that has been put on hold because they can't get past these fucking terrorists every time they try to build this infrastructure. Now, how do you remedy that? I mean, you're going to have to send Chinese troops. You got to send in Chinese troops, for Christ's sake. And by the way, the Pakistani president had to also kiss the fucking ring of China. Take a look at this. Pakistani PM courts investments from China, guarantees, quote, foolproof security of Chinese personnel from terrorist attacks. Now, how the fuck can he say that? Every time that I ever do this True Capitalist radio show, I always show some fucking terrorist act that is happening in Pakistani soil. Whether it's from the outside, ISIS, or the Tariq-i-Taliban, which is actually inside, but they move freely from Afghanistan to Pakistan. Or it's the separatists from the Balochistan region. How the hell can the Prime Minister of Pakistan guarantee Chinese safety when they're out there trying to build this corridor? He can only promise that if he allows Chinese troops in his border. That's it. How else? He can't do it. I mean, he has terrorist attacks in his country every goddamn day. How can he prove it? The only way is to allow Chinese troops on the ground. Sorry, there was no technical difficulty there. I just had to... I have something stuck in my throat. Like I said, I did a horrible show on the Ghost Show on Monday. And unfortunately, my voice is still fucked up. But I decided I was going to continue to do a True Capitalist radio show. And unfortunately, it's affecting me now. So, but anyway, as I was stating, the Pakistani Prime Minister is guaranteeing foolproof security against terrorist attacks, all right? And look, if you trolls are going to talk shit, I'm going to get the hell out of here, dude. Are you fucking kidding me, man? My throat is fucked from the goddamn show on Monday, all right? And here I am. I'm pulling through. I'm trying to do a damn fucking True Capitalist radio show for you pricks, and you don't care. You don't fucking care. All right, you know what? I'm getting out of here. I was going to talk about some other shit, but none of you people are listening anyway, all right? None of you fucking people are listening. Anyway, folks, I'm going to go kick back for a second. I'm probably going to go have a smoke. If you want to chat with me later on, I'm going to be in the True Capitalist Radio membership chat room, all right? Go ahead. Go to buymeacoffee.com/GhostPolitics. All right? And hook it up in there. All right? Hook it up in there. I refuse to sit here and have these fucking trolls. I have to get more mods. I got to go recruit mods from Twitch or something. Because I don't want these people. I absolutely do not want these people that are trolls in this show. I want them gone. All right? I want them absolutely gone. Anyway, if you want to chat with me, you want to come kick back with me, join the True Capitalist Radio membership, all right? And it'll help keep this damn show troll-free, all right? I'm serious. It'll keep this troll-free. Hey, look at it, Menno Ray, shut up. All right, yeah, all right, I'm getting out of here, all right? I don't know when I'm going to have another show. I don't know if I'm going to have another ghost show. I don't know if I'm going to have another True Capitalist Radio show. I have no idea. But I'm certainly going to put the hammer down on this show because I certainly do not want these trolls on this broadcast. So I'll tell you right now, if you appreciate this show and want it to continue to sustain itself under the current situation in which we're eliminating all these trolls, then please consider hooking it up with a True Capitalist Radio membership. If not, I don't know how much longer I can do this show. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how much longer I can do this show. Anyway, I'm out of here. My throat is screwed, all right? I'm going to go have a smoke or something, all right? I've already been on here for 2 hours and 14 minutes anyway. It's already too long. I shouldn't be dedicating this much time to this show. Anyway, I'm going to be in the chat room here in about 45 minutes. So, hey, everybody who's a True Capitalist member, please meet me in the general chat so that we can have a voice chat going on. And I'll be in there for about a couple hours, all right? So I hope that I can see each and every one of the chat room members. Cheers to everybody out there who is listening, all right? My voice is a little screwed, but, you know, it is what it is. All right, but I'll still be voice chatting in the True Capitalist Radio membership chat room, all right? And until then, thank you all for tuning in with me, and I will probably be doing a True Capitalist Radio show on Baller Friday. All right? I probably will. I don't know yet. I barely have enough time to think when it comes to these shows and incorporate them into my life and, you know, my personal life, my business life, and all this other shit. So I have no idea. But follow me on Twitter, all right? The Ghost Report, all one word, no underscores, The Ghost Report. That will give you the 411 on whenever I'm having one of these shows, for Christ's sake, all right? Anyway, I'm out of here. And all you trolls that are in this chat room, I hope you die of cancer of the cock, all right? And until next time, everybody else who appreciates the financial insight and the political and social commentary, I appreciate each and every one of you, all right? And spread the word around like wildfire, all right? Until then, I'm out of here!